What's going on, guys? Z85 Jew. We're back here with another video, and we actually received all of the fuel line that we need to complete this car. This is just a small portion of it, but I wanted to showcase the difference between different type of steel braided or nylon lines, because I wasn't aware that there's a difference between lines. So you can't use every line for anything. So for instance, this is just a standard nylon hose. It looks normal, it just has some fittings on both sides that I made for something, but you see I can bend this very easily, right? This one, on the other hand, is also a nylon hose, but it is a much harder style nylon hose. If you look inside of the fitting, it actually has like a white insert in there. This hose is called a PTFE hose. This one is specifically for fuel line. If you see, I can't really bend this as easily as I can this one per se. So you can see I'm bending both, right? And this one on the right or your guys' left is bending a lot easier than this one right here. So this one is stronger. It's supposed to be more durable for like higher PSI, all of that stuff. So this is the fuel line that I'm actually going to be using and that you should use on your car, whether it is a 2JZ, a VQ, an RB, anything like that, an EJ motor. PTFE hose. Again, that's what this hose is called, and this is what you should be using. So we ordered 2 boxes of it, so let me go get that really quick. These are the hoses, I guess, right here. So this first one is going to be -8AN, and it comes with all the fittings, everything like that. I believe I ordered 20 feet, so this might be more than we need, but we have plenty, to say the least. So yeah, -8AN PTFE. Again, dude, I cannot stress that enough. You guys can see the little white insert in there, and it makes this hose very solid piece. If you look at the quality compared to the other one that I had, this one is actually a lot better. This one doesn't fray as easily, you know, when you like rub it against stuff. So this one is definitely the one to go. So got a bunch of miscellaneous fittings. Hopefully we have everything we need in this one. And then as for the other box, same thing, but this one is -6AN. And yeah, PTFE, super nice. And then it has a bunch of fittings as well. So let's go ahead and make our fuel lines, and I'll show you guys that process. At least maybe making like one line so you can see how it's made, because actually making hoses aren't really as hard as you would think. I know I was really afraid to make them before, but now I'm super confident. So let me show you what you need to do first. And before I show you how to make steel braided lines or just fuel lines, power steering lines, anything of that nature, let me show you what we're working with my setup. So this right here is going to be my fuel rail. I have my injectors, I have the fuel rail, I have the fuel pressure regulator sitting right here. So on the fuel rail, at least on this one, I have 2 fittings. I have one on this side, and then I also have one on the back side back there. So this first one, the front of the fuel rail is actually going to go under the intake manifold, come up through here, and go to the side of the fuel pressure regulator. So that hose is actually probably the easiest hose to make out of all of the fuel lines, at least for my setup. The next line that we need to make is going to be the return line. So the return line is actually going to come from under the fuel pressure regulator right there, that bottom fitting that has that little 90 on it. That's actually going to go technically straight down, cross over the transmission, and go all the way to the back to the fuel basket. So that will settle those 2 lines right there. There's one more line that we need to make, which is on the back of the fuel rail. There's a fitting right here where my hand is, and that one as well is going to go all the way down, all the way back to the fuel basket. So those are the 3 hoses that we need to make. So I think for demonstration purposes, I'm going to start with this one just because it is the smallest and easiest to show you guys, and then the rest I'm just going to go ahead and knock out, and then I'll show you guys the end result. When you do run a fuel return system as well, so when you are making bigger power, you need to run a fuel return system. You need to have a fuel filter, an external fuel filter. You can no longer use the existing fuel filter that comes with the car or that may be attached to the fuel pump itself. So you need to have an external one, which is a larger one. Also, since this car is going to be tuned on E85 and 91, we need a flex fuel sensor. So I have both the flex fuel sensor and the external fuel filter mounted under the car on the passenger side, and I'll show you that. I already went ahead and mounted that just to kind of get that out of the way, but I will show you that, and I'll explain everything once it's done. But those are the things that you're going to need. So let's go ahead and get started with this easy hose, and then I'll show you the rest. And before I forget, The reason why I bought -6 AN fuel line and -8 AN fuel line is because you want to use a certain size for feed in return. So for feeding the engine, you obviously want more fuel, so you're going to use -8 AN. But for the return from the regulator all the way back to the basket, whatever is left over that hasn't been used can just go through -6. So for instance, my feed for this rail is actually the back right here. So this is where the fuel is going to come in to feed all the injectors. So that's going to come from the basket all the way up to right there. That one is going to be -8 AN because we want the most amount of fuel to go to the engine as possible. So -8 AN. From here, from the front of the fuel rail is going to be -6. So this is going to go -6 all the way under the intake manifold and up to the side of the fuel pressure regulator. So that's going to be -6. On the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator, that one is going to go all the way back to the basket. That one is the actual return because it's returning all the fuel that wasn't used. That one is also going to be -6. Yeah, I know it's kind of confusing, but you basically just want to use the bigger one for your feed because you're fueling the engine. You want to put as much fuel as you can, and then whatever is left over, you're going to use -6 AN because it's just going to go through the smaller hose to just put back what it didn't use. So I hope that makes sense and it's a good explanation for you guys. So you're gonna want to cut your line and then we're gonna show you what you need to do after that. You want some glasses, bro?
No, I'll do this.
All right, don't try this at home, please. Yeah.
That's my finger, bro. Oh,
So after you cut it, you're gonna want to basically spread the nylon part out off of the PTFE hose. So you're gonna want to do your best to spread it out. Luckily, this fool actually looked up a video because I was trying to do it off the heezy, but yeah, no, he looked up a video. So doing it the proper way. But yeah, cut the hose. Make sure you electrical tape it first as well, so that way you have kind of like a clean cut, because otherwise, you know, it could just come out ugly. But yeah, electrical tape it, cut it, and then spread the nylon hose off. And then once you get that, there is a metal fitting inside of here. So there's a metal fitting right there, and then you're just gonna want to basically fit that over. It's kind of like a coupler or something like that in a way. Push it down on there, and then they actually provide you with this cool little tool, which is kind of cool. So you basically take that and stuff it in there. So we might need 2 hands for this because usually we'll have to like hit it.
No, I'm buff man.
This man right here. But
just like that, boy. Come on, man.
This guy,
The
bro.
Rock who? Oh wait, we messed up.
Oh, actually, sorry. Hey, see, look,
Yo.
we're not professionals. We're not professionals. But yeah, actually, okay. So scratch that. The first thing you want to do, you're always gonna want to put on your this bottom part. So this is the piece that's at the bottom of this. So you want to put this on. Actually, hold on. Let me see. Hold on. The pliers. Hold on. Yeah, I got 2.
Maybe these.
Those.
Also want to use gloves with these because this stuff is sharp.
Oh,
so
yeah.
obviously, like pushing it down, 100% you need gloves because
Yeah.
like, yeah, you wouldn't mess.
Yeah, it gives you that like extra bit of grip.
Yeah.
And then another fun fact for you guys. So that metal piece right here, once you compress this onto this bottom portion through that metal piece can actually only be used once.
Yeah.
So if you make a line, say, and if you use maybe the wrong fitting or something like that and you have to redo it, you can reuse those, but you can't reuse that metal piece. So just a FYI. But yeah, you definitely want to slide that on, but we already frayed our line.
Yeah, so we freaking messed up big time. But I mean, like I said, we're not professionals. You live and you learn.
Exactly.
You live and you learn. Sometimes you gotta mess up to know for next time.
Exactly.
In this case, we messed up.
Big time.
Okay, here, we'll do this. So, we use the tape to compress it.
Oh yeah, that's smart, yeah. Compress the edges.
Yeah. And it'll allow it to slip, right? So,
yeah.
We'll take that. I mean, it worked in my head.
It sound good.
Good thing I taped that, because
Yeah,
boy, that would have...
Yeah, that would have hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see my finger, but like I actually
This will stab himself.
yeah, I was using a pick because you, like I said, you're supposed to pry off the edges, and they say to use something like that. But I would recommend maybe like a flathead or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, definitely use gloves because if not, bro, you'll end up like me.
So then we got it on, bro. That's such a crucial step, because if you don't do that and you forget like us, and you do it at the last minute, you have to reverse all of this, and it's not.
Yeah, not only are you doing that, but you're wasting material, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's not fun.
yeah, luckily I think that should be enough. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The good thing is though, we actually need more -6 and then we need -8, if that makes sense. So I think I have more than enough. I bought 20 feet of both, so that should be enough. This car's not that long.
Part 2, or
Yeah.
take 2, I should say.
So now he's compressing that metal thing on there.
It's way easier
Really?
using the back.
Compressing
Yeah,
it?
because like this way, like it's, I don't know, something about it just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
But when you turn around and you do it,
Yeah.
that's really when it goes on, like it's literally on right now.
Oh snap.
Perfectly.
Oh dang. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then so now the next step after that, I'm gonna let him finish compressing that. But this is the last piece, right? You want to basically put some like WD-40 or some type of lubricant on the threads and the little slip joint right here at the bottom. So I have WD-40, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray some on here, and then we'll get that compressed on. So we got our line. We made one side. I wish this is for the first part of the return. I wish I used 290s. But it really doesn't matter. But let's go test fit it real quick. Let's go test fit it, because this will be the real test. This is our first real fuel line. So let's see. So I'm gonna snake it under the intake manifold first. See if I can catch it. And then we're gonna plug in this side first, right here. So this goes right there. I'm gonna just catch a few threads. Okay, we got that part. And then this side goes right here. This is kind of where, I know it's kind of hard to see, it's like right under here. This is where I wish I used a 90. This is the first line we made, and I think I was just so excited to make a line, kind of just forgot, but it still works. But the 90 definitely would have been a little bit easier here. And then also too, you want to make sure you blow out the lines after. So once you make them and once you cut them and stuff, you just want to blow them out either with your mouth or preferably an air hose, but we don't have that right now, so you got to kind of make do what you have. But yeah, that's basically our first line, and it looks really sleek. So you guys can see it comes from the fuel rail. This is the return, goes all the way down under the intake manifold, and then comes up right to the fuel pressure regulator. So it doesn't look too bad in my opinion, but yeah, definitely the 90 would have been nice here, but it's all good. So there it is. So we're gonna go ahead and try to make the rest, and yeah, we'll show you the end result. I'm really excited because like me and Robert were just talking, and it's just really crazy like how cheap you can really do this. You don't really need to pay a lot of money for like shops to make this stuff. You know, you can really buy the material and do it yourself, you know, for a couple days with a few friends for, you know, half the cost. So really grateful that Robert's here to help me out. So let's get to it. We finished all of the fuel lines, and I want to go ahead and show you what they look like. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Starting at the front of the fuel rail, this is going to be the return. So this goes right here under the intake manifold, comes up right here, and then goes to the side of the fuel pressure regulator right there. Under the fuel pressure regulator is the last return. So as you guys can see this right here, this goes all the way behind the engine, right? So it goes all the way across. I haven't tied that line up yet. They are fully ran, but I haven't tied it up yet, so I will get to that at a later time. But for right now, for demonstration purposes, that one line is going all the way across. It goes down, and then if we come over here to the side, I will show you guys that it actually goes all the way under here. So I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see that. But there are two lines here, so I'm only talking about one for now. But this one is actually the return. So it's coming from the front, comes all the way down underneath, and as you can see, you just follow it all the way back, and then it eventually goes up to the fuel tank. So up here, you have the return line right here. So this is one of the lines. So going back to the beginning, now, so that was both of those lines. So that was this line, and then that was the line under here. So both of those are a part of the return system. The last line for this setup is going to be the feed. So what is feeding the fuel rail? It's really hard to see, but there's a fitting right here on the end of this fuel rail right there. So that one is actually doing the same thing as that return. They're both crossing over here, so that's why you see two lines right there, right? So you go underneath the car, and when doing so, you can see that I have my flex fuel sensor right here. Get it to focus. Have my flex fuel sensor, and then I also have my external fuel filter. So coming from the tank, it's actually going into the fuel filter first, and then it runs through the flex fuel sensor right there. But same, just like the other one, they both go all the way back, and eventually they cross up right there. So we tied them as nice as we could, right? And yeah, here is the feed. So they are both right here. So return, feed, and you can tell which one is which just because what I did, I used a -6 AN line for my return, which is this one, so it's a lot smaller. You might not be able to see that, but this one is a lot smaller than that one, and then that one is a -8 AN for the feed. I do have the CJM top hat right here ready to go. So I have my return, which is going to be A, and then I have the feed, which is going to be C. Currently right now, both of those banjo fittings are -6. So I went ahead and ordered a -8 AN for channel C right here. So that one will be for the feed. But yeah, everything is pretty much ready to go. All the wiring, as I mentioned, my boy Robert, shout out to him. He wired in my relay, and as well as the new connector, because the CJM does not use the OEM connector anymore. So he wired in those. So everything is really ready to go. So the fuel system is pretty much done, but we did get 2 packages, and I want to show you guys one thing. The first package right here that I'll show you came from CJM as well. So to kind of finalize the fuel system, he sent me a few things. So this right here is my basket. So again, as I mentioned, Robert, he went ahead and wired up my new connector on this part as well. So this will plug in under the CJM top hat, and then on the other side on the car, you guys saw that that would be the connector side plugging in to the top of the top hat. But in order to finalize this right here, I have the feed for the 525 liter per hour Hellcat fuel pump, so that's just going to go straight up to the feed line. So this one is kind of taken care of, but in order to make, since we made this an external, like a fuel return setup, there's actually a fuel pressure regulator right in here. I don't know how well you guys are going to see that, but it's right in here. So I printed off some instructions from CJM's website, and basically what this thing says, because it says you need to cut a few things. So you basically need to make an insert right here, you need to cut here, and then you also need to make another incision on the other side. So as you guys can see, there's like 2 things you need to make incisions for. So once you cut that out, you will then have access to that, you know, this little regulator, I guess you call it. So that is what this is going to go on to. So this is actually going to sit on there and allow us to actually run a hose just like this up for our return. So again, this will be our feed, that'll be our return, and then once I do that, and then obviously put the sleeve on my fuel pump so it doesn't slide them down, but once I do that, I can go ahead and throw this thing in, and the fuel system is actually completely done. So I'm really excited about that. If you guys know 370s, you guys know that like doing a fuel system on this car isn't necessarily easy, just because there's not really a lot of space to work with, especially like fishing those lines up from underneath the bottom. That was definitely a challenge in itself, but my boy Robert came over and definitely helped me plumb those both up. But really excited for that. So I'm probably gonna get working on that today. In the next video, you guys can look forward to putting our new transmission mount in. So this one is actually from a place called LOJ Conversions. So they make a lot of different type of swap mounts, etc. So this one is our new transmission mount, and just by looking at it, I can already tell that I think this one is definitely going to suit us a lot better than the other one did. Just to give you guys kind of a quick insight, let me go ahead and take some of this stuff out and trying to line it up with our old mount just to see if the bolt holes kind of line up. So fingers crossed that they do. I don't know if they will, but let's see. the Lord, bro. So this is the old mount, right? I just kind of placed it on here just to see if the holes will line up. So just coming to the left side, you guys can see that clearly the holes are lining up. So that is perfect. Coming over to the right side here, you can see the same thing. They're in the same orientation. So that is great news, because I don't know if you guys remember from the last few videos ago when I tried to install my other trans mount from Autosport Engineering, the bolt holes did not line up at all, like whatsoever. So this is a huge, huge, huge success. So this will basically allow us to line up the VQ transmission to the 2JZ to the 370. I know that's like a lot, but yeah, super stoked about that. So in the next video, you guys can look forward to me actually installing that, but that is good news that everything's lined up. So let's go ahead and get working on this fuel pump, and let's go ahead and get that installed. The only thing, once I do finish that, I need to basically use this little pump thing over here and kind of like siphon out the rest of the fuel, because there is a little bit of E85 still in the tank that I need to get out. So once I have that out, once I have this cut, we're gonna be fully finalized for the fuel system. So that is super big, and I don't know, just a very big deal. So please drop me a huge thumbs up for that if you guys are excited. We are just that step closer to starting this car. So I'll see you guys in a bit. So where you want to cut, obviously I took the fuel pump out and like the other, I guess like the outside basket off. So I took all that off and took the other pipe and all that stuff off, you guys saw. But basically this is exactly where you guys want to cut. So when you're looking at it, you know, you have these three like towers kind of thing, right? So you're going to want to do the one to the left, and then turning it down, you're going to want to basically cut that bridge. The way I did it, I just kind of measured, you can kind of see right in between there. Mine is a little bit to the right just to kind of save me some room, because you don't really want to go too far. If you cut into that, then you're going to kind of mess the whole thing up. So I have one shot at this, but basically, yeah, I did it a little bit right just to kind of play it safe. And once I cut it, I can like, you know, round it off after. But yeah, this is where you want to cut on here. And then on the other side, I did the same thing. You can actually see through it. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but you can actually see through it right there. So that's exactly kind of where I drew my line. So I'm going to cut that and basically break this part off, and then this will come right up. So I'm going to do that right now. Safety first, glasses, glove, make sure. All right, so once you guys get everything broken off, definitely easier said than done, but yeah, I went ahead and broke it off right here, and then as well as right here. So what they told me, or at least what this paper is saying, is they want you to kind of like Dremel out, you know, just the side, just so it's not like so sharp. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm not gonna show that. That's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, just kind of Dremel it out and round it off. That way, you know, just not so sharp. But nonetheless, once you do that, you can actually go ahead and pull this off. So I went ahead and took mine out already. So this is the factory one. So we're no longer using this one. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down. And now in this kit, let me go ahead and get this thing opened up. So now in a sense in here is the new CJM. I guess it's like a regulator in a sense. So this is the old one on the right. As you guys can see, there's no way to run a line directly into that right here, right? So with what this one allows us to do, you can kind of see it has some of the basic like functions and features of this one. So this will slide right on. I guess this is like a little clip to tighten it. At least from the picture, it looks like they ended up knocking this little piece off. I don't know how well you guys can see that. They ended up knocking that off completely. You guys can see that there's no piece there, but I ended up keeping mine just for now, because it looks like the way this clip is, it looks like it would actually like go around it right there. I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't know. Yeah, this looks like it's gonna hit. I have no idea, so I'm gonna try it out and see what works. If it doesn't work, then yeah, I'll definitely take it off. But yeah, for right now I'm gonna leave it on, but I'm gonna try to go ahead and fit this on there, and I'll just show you guys the end result. You guys have seen me do enough cutting and everything for today. And just like that, we are finished. So I have everything on there. I went ahead and kind of installed it in this little basket here. So that side is kind of clipped in, and then this side you can see is clipped in. So everything is good to go. He did send another line, as you guys saw, but one line is bigger than the other, which is actually perfect because of this top hat here, right? So if you look underneath, one line is actually going to be bigger than the other. So you can see that the right side here is actually a bigger diameter as the left side. So that one is actually my feed, which is C, as I mentioned before. And then the other one over here to the left is A. So this will actually line up perfect. So now I can actually install this thing and go ahead and plug up that connector right into here and get this thing installed in the car. But once I do that, I do need to siphon out the gas. So I'm gonna have this fool over here. As you can see, he's always wiping down his car. I'm gonna have him help me siphon out, you know, some of the gas so I can get this thing in here. So super excited about that. And shout out to CJM, man. He definitely made everything so much easier. And there we have it, guys. Have everything fully plumbed up. What I was saying, got everything plumbed up, got that plugged into the fuel pump, got all the lines, you know, tightened, and I got the spring in. So now this thing goes up and down just like that. So now it is time to go ahead and put this bad boy in there. And shout out to my boy Robert, dog. He did such a killer job wiring this thing up, man. It's like so minimal. I love it. You know, you don't see a whole bunch of stuff. You just have what you need, and everything is just so cleanly done. So definitely shout out to that fool, man. He is a wizard when it comes to wiring. So only thing I need to do, again, like I said, I ordered a new banjo kind of AN fitting right here, just because this one is the feed. You guys can see it goes straight down to the fuel pump right here. So I ordered an 8 AN. This is a -6. So once I get that on, I'll pop this one off, pop that back on, and then at the top there's actually these little like O-ring clips that go in here. It kind of looks like, I don't know if you guys can really see that one in here, how you would pinch it and take it out or put it in. So there's two that go on here. So I don't have them on right now. So I just need to go ahead and finalize that. So let's go ahead and take the fuel out of the basket, and then we can go ahead and get ready to throw that thing in, man. I'm so excited that the fuel system is actually complete now that that's done. So as you guys can see, got that installed, and I went ahead and put this line on. And again, as I keep mentioning, I'm waiting for this one to come in so I can put this in. But other than that, everything is pretty much good to go. Got the relay right here. I can mount that later. And then that is the actual connector that is going to connect into that. So fuel is officially done, my boy.
He gave him a run for his money though.
Yeah,